You are listening to the Real Estate Growth Hackers Show.
All right, welcome to the Real Estate Growth Hackers live show. Right now, we're running this on Facebook Live. If you're watching it after the fact, thanks for joining. If you're watching it somewhere else, do note that we do these live. Today on the show, I've got Kris Bowen with us. Kris is an agent, a team leader out of the Salt Lake City area. He's got a team called the Kris Bowen Real Estate Team. They are out of the Keller Williams, South Valley, Keller Williams. Kris has been in real estate for 15 years, and I'm looking at my intro information here, so I know what all he's got going on. But he's been in real estate for the past 15 years. He's got a team that sells over $35 million in volume a year. He's a best-selling author with his book called Top Dollar, which covers strategies used by the leading real estate agents around the world to net you top dollar for your home. His business is built around S.O.I, which for anybody who doesn't know means sphere of influence, which is like the people you know, basically, and internet lead gen. So about 60% of his business comes from S.O.I and about 40% comes from internet lead gen. He's got a team that consists of 3 listing agents, 7 buyer's agents, a full-time marketer, and a transaction coordinator. So he's got a really well put together team that helps him to get all of this business done. So that's a bit about who Kris is. I'm going to go ahead and bring him back into the show, and let's get into it and let's start talking. So before we really start talking too much about this great content that Kris has got, I do want to let you know about one other thing. So let me go ahead and throw that up here. So one of the things that we cover on this show, we cover how we're going to be talking a lot about lead generation. We're going to be talking a lot about what has made Kris successful. But one of the things that I found a lot of real estate agents really need a lot of help with is they need a lot of help with what happens after you generate the lead. And so with our team, Real Estate Growth Hackers, we've actually not only interviewed a bunch of really successful real estate agents, some of the top successful agents in the country, but through our own experience as well. We've put together a free course that you can have today called Ultimate Lead Machine. Now, what that course covers is that it covers everything that happens after you generate the lead. What does that follow-up look like? Whether you're not able to get somebody on the phone, whether you're able to get somebody on the phone, if they're looking to sell, if they're looking to buy, all that kind of stuff. We give you the framework that you can use to know how to process leads like that. If you want that free training, all you have to do is drop a comment below the Facebook Live here and comment lead tips. Now, it's going to work whether you're watching live or whether you're working after the broadcast, but lead tips, LEADTIPS. If you drop that as a comment below, our team will reach out to you and tell you how you can get that free training. So without further ado, Kris, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So Kris, one of the things that I think is really useful for people when they're hearing about a success story, when they're hearing about somebody who's had a good deal of success, is for them to know, where did you start, right? Where did you come from? What got you into real estate? All that kind of stuff. So go ahead.
Well, I have a kind of interesting story. I've been in the business 15 years, like you mentioned. Before that, I was in IT. I ran a company called Thirsty Pixel. We did a lot of IT development for a lot of Fortune 100 companies. And I really, I've always been fascinated with real estate. The agent that sold me my home, I referred him to so many people, and it just looked like a great way to, just a great industry. And honestly, most of the millionaires in the world have their money from real estate, one way or another, whether they're investing or whatnot. So during my lunch breaks, even though I was running a successful IT company, I would go out and show homes. I went and got my license in the summer, started showing homes on my lunch breaks. Even though I owned the company, I would still break away. After work, I'd go show homes. And, after about 8 months, I made over 6 figures just on the side. Wow. And I really saw a disconnect between technology and real estate. This is back in 2002.
Right.
And, I just saw a huge opportunity. I mean, I built a website back then. It was the first of its kind in Utah. It was the first site in Utah to have Google Maps integrated, and it was
Right.
And it was actually an interesting story. When I had the website, I would put all the listings that mapped, with Google, and kind of the bait and switch for realtors back in the day was they wouldn't give you the address of listings. I don't know if you guys remember the books, but what they would do is you'd have to call them to find out where it is, and that's how they'd get you, meet you out at the home to show you.
Right.
So when I built this site, I actually gave people the address. And I got criticized heavily from my broker. He said, you're going to lose a lot of business from that way. But what I was trying to do is build some credibility within the community, and they would know they can come to my site, unbiased information, had as much information as possible. And yeah, we lost a lot of business from people just driving to the house, but we also had people that really, valued what we were doing and kept coming back and back. So that website, I rebranded a couple times, but it ended up being zoomutah.com, which has kind of evolved into something else today. But we have over 70,000 registered people on there at the time, and it was crazy. This is back when there wasn't a lot of competition online, and I would organically generating 40, 50 leads a day, new signups. It was nuts. I didn't know what to do with the business at the time. So who knows how many millions of dollars I missed out on, right?
Right.
I mean, this is all kind of a new thing with internet leads for the most part. But so anyway, I just really saw the opportunity, jumped in head first, sold my part of the business and jumped in, started doing it full time, and just been growing ever since then.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's amazing it's amazing the difference that some of this technology, comes in and how big of a difference it makes. And it's been one of those interesting things going on in the real estate world is how much more of the information has become available, where real estate agents' value used to be largely a holder of the keys and a holder of the book of information, right? So now real estate agents are having to adapt. They're having to become something different in order to maintain the value and to maintain that that position in the marketplace. So it's cool to see how you were able to be kind of right at the start of some of that transition.
Yeah, and I mean, just to touch on what you said, Zach, I totally agree with you. I mean, real estate agents back in the day, we were the data keepers for the houses. Right. And the funny thing is you see agents in this market today that discount their commissions because they really still feel that they're door openers. And that's why consumers don't like to pay a lot of agents, because they're not worth 6% or whatever. Right. And so you either had to evolve and start adding more value in different ways, or you had to discount your commission. And that's why we've seen a major separation in the agents in the market these days. You either have the discounters, or you have people that are either charging whatever the standard rate is or even higher, because they're adding way more value to what their services are.
Yeah, exactly. And it's such an interesting part of the discussion too, because there really is, the reality is, like in any market, you're always going to have your Walmart providers, right? Like they may serve a large portion of the market, and the only thing that people are really trying to look for is they're trying to get something adequate for cheap. Right. And that's what they're looking for. But you're always going to have that end of the market where it's people that are looking for that high quality service, where you're looking specifically for that. You're looking for the extra value that's brought not just in maybe the product itself, but the overall experience, and maybe even in the product itself, right? Making sure you're not getting something just cheap, but you're getting something that really does what you need. And the one thing that doesn't work, though, is it doesn't work trying to be the one that doesn't offer the extra value and is still charging the prices of the people who are charging that, have that extra value. That like those agents, they don't survive. They're not going to.
Yeah, they never do.
You have to bring that value. Yeah, for sure. And so you mentioned already. You mentioned at least one obstacle. Let me know if you have any more, or what else you kind of ran into as you were growing your business. The one that comes to mind of what you mentioned is you actually ran into the issue of generating more leads than you knew what to do with. What else in getting your business to the point where you are today? What were some of your biggest struggles that you encountered along the way?
Well, I would say it's the same obstacle I have today than I did when I started. It's your mindset. It's everything is your mindset. It's treating this like a career, not like a part-time gig. Right. So it's we put a lot of things into place in our team, which has been a big reason for our success. And a lot of that, I'll go over that with you. But we have a very strict schedule in the morning. So at 9 o'clock every day, a team meets, and we do a quick 15-minute meeting. And that meeting consists of about 5 minutes of private journaling. So we write down our gratitudes or whatever we want to journal about to kind of get stuff on our mind. And then then we usually do like a quick 5-minute training of some sort, something to get our mindset going. We watch videos or we discuss something. And then we do affirmations. It's very cultish, but we stand up and we shout out a bunch of affirmations, and it helps. Our energy level goes through the roof when we do that. We high five, and it's fantastic. So mindset is something that, we're in an industry that is constantly being beat down. It's people are always hanging up on us or telling us to go away or trying to get us a discount. So if you don't have a strong mindset, you're never going to be successful in this business. Absolutely. So those things may seem kind of cheesy and pointless for some people, but it helps us get through the day. And what I ask for my agents is to give us their morning. So 9 o'clock we meet. We do our 15-minute meeting every day, and then we hit the phones. We have stand-up prospecting stations, which is super fun. We have a countdown timer on the wall. Right. We set it for 60 minutes. We hit the phones. It's full focus on hitting the phones, and then after that, we have a 15-minute break, which most of us play ping pong. So we have a ping pong table in the middle of our office.
Nice.
And then we hit the phones for another hour, and then typically we'll take another break and then call our SOI for 15 to 30 minutes. So that's really all it is. If I have an agent that can commit to doing that every day, and in the afternoons, I don't really care what they do. They should be on appointments most of the time, but if they can manage their mornings, they're going to make good money in this business.
Absolutely. And don't mind me, by the way. I'm just taking notes so I can make sure I'm remembering the things that you're talking about if I need to bring them up. But yeah, so specifically about affirmations, one of the things that I think is worthwhile talking about that, there's an author that I follow. He's actually the creator of Dilbert. His name is Scott Adams. I don't know if you guys follow him or not, but one of the things that he talks about, he actually talks about affirmations, and he very specifically, he kind of talks about it from the standpoint of he started doing affirmations without believing they even worked, right? And very specifically, like it was almost like a test, like I'm going to try this, not even believing in it, and see what happens. And he's kind of found a similar thing. He's found that even not like initially doing it, not even believing it, just going through the motions, saying the words, saying the stuff of the affirmations, actually got a fairly consistent, notable change in his life. And it's one of those interesting things. Even if you are incredibly skeptical, even if you're incredibly like cynical about it, the reality is that for whatever reason, no matter how cultish and weird it seems, affirmations actually seem to do a lot of good for people. And there's all sorts of reasons for why potentially, but yeah, it's one of those things. Sometimes the things that that feel weird are still useful. It's like not everything is just purely illogical. You understand why they work, but yeah, that's powerful, man. So for you, getting that mindset right has been one of the key obstacles. And yeah, I completely get that. Everything is mindset, right? Yep. Believing in yourself enough to pick up the phone and call somebody that you're like 90% sure is going to hang up on you. Getting out there and just going through the process and hoping that the person you're showing a home to is going to finally close on something. It can be tiring sometimes working with anybody. So having that optimistic spirit could be super powerful. That makes tons of sense. Yeah. For you, continuing on, unless, do you have anything else in terms of obstacles? Anything else that you would say was something that you felt was difficult to get through in growing your business?
I mean, the industry just changing all the time, but I actually kind of like that. I always like to kind of see what's latest and greatest, and a lot of agents suffer from shiny object syndrome, so that's something that's important to kind of stick to what works. Right. And then the other thing that's just to kind of go, it's kind of an obstacle, but something that's really important to me is mindset's important, but the people that are on the team that get along together. I mean, we spend as much time together in the office with each other than we do our spouses, right? Right. So culture is super important for us, and that's something that is a constant challenge to find the right people that's a good fit for the team. Right.
Yeah. And that, oh man. Yeah, that I'm going to write this down real quick, but yeah, that makes a ton of sense, because you're exactly right. I mean, so many people, and I know in Keller Williams, I'm sure you're very aware of, Gary Keller talking like some of what he talks about in The One Thing, and that life isn't about work-life balance. It's about, this constant counterbalance of figuring out where you need to be putting your time and whatnot. But so many people forget this aspect that you're like, you don't have work life and personal life. You just have your life. Right. And if you're spending your time working with people you don't enjoy and doing things you don't enjoy, it's like you don't get that time back, right? You could always find more ways to make money. You could always find more ways to get more business, but you could never get that time back. And so it's such a such an important thing to be working with those people that, that have the right spirit, that have the right attitude, that get that game that you're playing and make that an enjoyable process, with you as well. So yeah, that's super important.
And that's becoming more and more important with the millennial generation. It's
right.
It's about the journey as much as a destination. I'm a Gen Xer, and I was raised to save and save and save, and these younger kids are coming out, and it's more about the experience. It's not about just the money.
Right.
And having a fun environment is, like you said, it makes everything much better for everybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's so interesting too. It's not just the environment. Like it's not just people. It's also the belief in that common mission, and the belief in what you're working on and what you're working toward, and that it's worthwhile. And
right.
and it's so powerful when you find the people that are in alignment with that right. With that culture. And that's the thing. Some of the cultures can be very different, right? Like what actually makes that work. It's okay that there's differences. But it's so important that within the team, within that unit, that there's a connection that everybody's moving forward together on.
Yep. So there's a common mission that we're all trying to push for, right? That's the culture. Yeah.
Exactly. You mentioned the evolving industry. I'd love. So this is kind of stepping away from just specific obstacles that you faced and going a little bit on a tangent. What do you think about things going on right now? Like we got Zillow with their instant offers. We've got Amazon. They recently pulled it back off, but the Amazon real estate page where it looked like they were going to start referring business for real estate agents. We've got companies like Open Door that are really looking in and shifting up the real estate process. I'm not sure how familiar you are with all these different things. Probably fairly familiar. What do you think about some of these things coming in and potentially offsetting the real estate community?
Honestly, I think it's a great thing. I think our industry is poised for change. We're pretty slow to adapt, but we're a $1 billion industry. Everyone wants a piece of that. So it doesn't surprise me that Amazon and Open Door and all those guys are coming in. But I think every one of these businesses have their own niche of what they're good at.
Exactly.
But, in markets like this where homes sell themselves, it's a lot easier for these tech companies to come in and offer some technology that works fine. But once the market shifts and it actually takes marketing skills and certain things to sell homes, that's when you see a lot of these companies fold. So I've been through 3 cycles now since I've been in real estate, and I see companies come and go all the time. And there will always be a need for a full service agent. Especially on the higher price points when people value their time and looking for someone to make this easy for them and net them more money. It's I always say there'll be a big need for us, no matter how much technology evolves. Exactly.
I mean, when we're looking at the kind of markets that are the most rife for disruption, there's definitely a lot about the real estate process that can be greatly improved, especially by technology. But there's some key aspects that are really hard for any. It may get there someday, but for any level of like an artificial intelligence or technology driven platform, and one of those things that's really hard to do is sales and marketing, right? Like doing that well, doing that automatically, it's really hard to do without some level of human input. And that's part of what's nice is that again, going back to part of what sitting on their haunches, like not growing, not learning more, not trying to provide more value. There's a ton of people that'll more than happily come in and sweep out most of the business that's easy to do. And
absolutely,
being the kind of professional that actually, that knows how to leverage the technology in order to better help your clients and bring in the business. I mean, that's where the future is in the industry for sure. So awesome.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Cool. Okay, cool. So continuing on. So one of the things that I think is always useful. So we've talked a little bit about why you got into the industry. We talked a little bit about your history. We've talked about some of the obstacles that you faced along the way. What today, as a result of kind of this, this blend of history that is you and your team, what today would you say is kind of your unique position in the market or your unique strategy? What are some of the key ideas that you use today to stay successful?
Honestly, I think a big part of that is knowing where we're headed, not where we're at. We talked a little bit about
Fair
this a
enough.
few minutes ago, but everyone on the team buys into what we're trying to do. Every one of us has a bigger purpose in what we're trying to accomplish. It's not just about the money. So getting
Right.
people to buy in with that is pretty unique. A lot of teams in my valley, it's just internet leads. Here's more leads. I mean, leads are easy to get, but
Right.
it's the culture, it's the training. We do one-on-one coaching with our agents. That's actually becoming more and more important for the success of the agents.
Right.
And our S.O.I and our systems and everything else that we've nailed down, it's taken me 15 years to perfect a lot of these, and they're still evolving, and they always will. But I would say the systems, obviously the internet lead generation is a big
Right.
deal. Make sure there's enough leads, but also the accountability is a big part of that. Holding the agents accountable to hit their numbers. So having minimum standards is a big deal for us as well.
Right.
We have a minimum standard of 50 phone calls a day, which is really easy to do. And that's the one thing we know, if they do that, they're going to hit their numbers.
Right. And so when let's dive into that one a little bit more. So 50 phone calls a day. What kind of phone calls are they making? Is this to cold business? Is this to S.O.I? Is this to a combination of things? What
it's
are the
anything. It's just we
Okay.
want them to make 50 dials a day. We know
Gotcha.
that if they're going to do that, they're going to make so many contacts, so many appointments. And every agent has a different goal. And we have agents that want to make 60 grand a year. We have agents that want to make 300 grand a year. So
Right.
we can actually reverse engineer that in an economic model to find out how many calls they need to make in order to hit those numbers.
Awesome.
So if some people are going to need to talk to 100 people a day or make 100 dials, some will need 50.
Cool. That makes sense. And I'm just curious about this. We're actually going to get into in a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about tools and what tools you use. But I'm curious on the dials. Are you having your team do that manually? Are they picking up the phone, punching in the number, putting it up to their ear? Or are you guys using a dialer? What does that flow actually look like for you?
Kind of a combination of both. We do have a Mojo dialer for a triple line dialer.
Cool.
That we do a lot of for circle prospecting, for just listed, just solds. And then primarily, though, it's just within our CRM system, it's a manual dial. They just call and hit them.
That makes sense. And especially with what you've mentioned about how much of the business is coming from Sphere, it's kind of hard to throw your Sphere into a dialer effectively.
Right.
I've seen ways where you can make it work, but it is a little bit harder to do that effectively with your Sphere. But circle prospecting and whatnot, that makes tons of sense. Cool. Okay, so you mentioned so one of the big things for you, one of the key things is the internet lead gen, right?
Right.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. What are some of the strategies that you guys are seeing work the best for your team for internet lead gen?
So our two primary sources for internet lead gen is Facebook, which has been just slaying it for us lately, and then pay-per-click. So we do a ton of both of those.
Cool.
We have primarily advertising our listings has been a huge lead source. I mean, we have some listings will generate 500 to 700 leads off of one listing.
Yeah.
For very little spend. It's crazy.
It works great. It works great. When you're advertising your listings, what kind of process goes into that? What makes that work for you?
Keeping it short, having tag, just teaser lines with a link to a capture page where they have to basically log in or create an account in order to see all the photos.
Right.
That's been really big for us. And then you just show them their best photos on Facebook.
Yep.
And some houses work better than others, but that's been awesome for us. And one thing that's interesting with the difference between pay-per-click leads and Facebook leads, which I'm sure you're aware, Zach, really the Google pay-per-click leads really indicate that someone has a desire to look for homes. They're searching for homes in Salt Lake City, Utah, or homes in Las Vegas. So they have an intention to buy. Facebook leads are more of an interruption. It's finding someone that just happens to see a pretty house. They inquire about it. So there's pros and cons both ways. PPC leads, there's intention. They're probably going to buy. But they're also probably on multiple sites and they've talked to multiple agents, right?
Right.
Facebook, a lot of times you're not competing against other agents, but they're also probably 6 months out or longer.
Right.
So it's the nurturing.
Much further up the funnel.
Yep, exactly. So I think it's good to have a combination of both. And those leads all funnel into one CRM system for us. And that's how we run our team, and it works great.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I'm seeing the same thing. The style of campaign, I call it the just listed or property promotion style campaign on Facebook. Yep. It works really well. You use a gallery style post. You throw up some really good looking images, and that part's really, that's important. If the images don't look good, things tend to fall flat for me. Is that the same thing that you found?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So the having that professional photography, having great looking images, and then really just teasing a bit about the property, and to a lead capture page to get the rest of the details, get the rest of the pictures,
Right.
And it works like gangbusters. It's one of those things. So in the past, my history, I've done marketing in all sorts of different industries, and it's a very interesting thing in real estate that a lot of real estate agents don't actually appreciate, because they haven't had the experience doing in other things. You being in IT, you may actually already realize this, but real estate is one of the few industries where the product that you sell is something that people want to look at. Right. Like, honestly, even whether or not they're in the market, people like looking at houses. They like seeing how other people live. It's just an interesting thing to look at. And so it works really well. Just putting the product out in front of people works really well to generate leads. So yeah, fantastic. And you're exactly right. They call it query-based marketing versus demographic or interest-based targeting or marketing. You're able to get the right kind of person with the demographic style ads on Facebook, but you're not necessarily positive about the timing. Whereas with query based, you're like, I know right now these guys are there and interested. So yeah, that's fantastic. Yep. Cool. Anything else that you guys are doing in that space, or are you keeping it simple and mainly focusing in those two areas?
So for internet lead gen, it's just those two areas. And then, I can go into S.O.I if you want, but primarily with a sphere of influence, it's doing events. So every quarter we do some type of event. We run a theater out. We have a barbecue, whatever we need to do. We have a Star Wars theater rented out for up in December.
Oh,
a VIP
nice.
theater. We're pretty excited, and we'll invite all of our A-list S.O.I or people that referred someone in the last 12 months to us. And,
awesome.
Just taking care of those guys. Every time we do an event, our referrals go way up.
Last 12. So for those events, you're anybody who's referred you business in the last 12 months?
Yep.
And is that also, so is it just the people who have referred, or is it also anybody who's done business in the last 12 months?
As well as that, correct.
Gotcha.
Yep. We take care of the people that refer us a lot of business, and people that's referred us the last couple of years, we still do events for them as well, but some of them are more exclusive to our A-listers.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's the reality, is that, it doesn't necessarily take, and I think I missed this part. How often are you doing these events? Like just
every quarter?
Every quarter? Yep. Yeah. So, the reality is, for most people, they don't need to be hearing from you like you don't need to be in an in-person event like every month or something like that in order for them to stay connected. Right. So even if you're mixing up the VIP events versus just like hey, we're opening this up to everybody, you're surely going to get in contact with the right people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So for our audience again, what are some of the types of events that you do? You mentioned you're renting out theaters, so you're doing like hey, we're all going to go and watch a cool movie together. Yep. What else are you doing?
So on the movies, like we did Beauty and the Beast. We had Belle. We hired a Belle to come and take photos, and we had photo shoots, and they loved that. The kids all dressed up in their princess outfits. It was pretty cool.
That's fantastic.
So movies, we do a couple of those a year, and then we do barbecues, where a lot of events, bounce houses, stuff like that. We're doing one in a month. And then one thing that's actually, we're very charity focused. We're really kind of mixing things up. So one of the things that we're doing this Thanksgiving is we're going to feed 1,000 families or 5,000 people for Thanksgiving. This is actually our third year doing this, and we're ramping up to 1,000 families this year, and it's pretty cool. So we're going to have a shrimp boil on the 26th of September, and it's, you pay to come in and have all of the shrimp you can eat and corn on the cob. And we have a band that's coming to open for Sticks that's volunteering their time, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So all the money goes to charity. It's a much bigger cause, and when you can get your S.O.I to rally behind you for a bigger cause like this, you get paid back tenfold. Even though that's not why we're doing it, it's something to give back, but it always comes back to you. I'm a big believer in karma.
Yeah, well, and absolutely. The reality is, and I don't know, I've got a pretty particular view on this kind of stuff too. I actually, I've got one of the people that I follow in kind of the entrepreneurial space. He's the guy behind capitalism.com. His name's Ryan Daniel Moran. And one of the things that he talks about that I fully believe in too is that, quite honestly, capitalism and making money as a business is one of the best things that you can do for the world, right? Because if you get if you get a system together where you're actually helping people, whether it's through something as simple as helping them find the right home, right, or sell their home, that helps people by itself. But if you leverage that and go more intentionally too into, how can we use our wealth and use our position in this world as a way to help people that we aren't normally reaching, but we'd still love to reach. Right. It's just, shoot, it's great that it attracts business. It's great that it helps people. They aren't mutually exclusive. They can be, they go together very well. And I love it when I see companies, when I see people actually using their success as a great way to just put more good back into the world, because it's
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create something bigger than ourselves. It's all, it goes to the legacy thing. So everything's much deeper once you get a certain level and you have time to do it. But yeah, we all kind of rally behind it. We're super excited about it. It's called Thanksgiving's Heroes.
Nice.
And there's a pretty cool story. One of my partners was having Thanksgiving last year.
Right.
And his daughter, basically right before they were saying the prayer, said, do you realize, Dad, that because of you, there's 800 families eating dinner right now? I mean, pretty impactful.
Yeah.
So that's super cool, and it's something that we get really excited about. And I think that no matter how big or small you are, you should have some type of give back, even if it's just your time. It doesn't always have to be money.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things that I've always loved about Keller Williams too. Every when is Red Day again? It's in May, right?
Yeah. You have a couple. Yeah. The Red Bash in September, and then Red Day in May, I think.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know what Red Day is it's a day that as like a whole, as the whole organization, Keller Williams by itself goes and gives back to the communities that they work in. So it's like the whole big organization, everybody is just trying to like make their local area better. The places that ultimately provide the income for the people that are working in Keller Williams, since you sell real estate. So yeah, it's super cool stuff. I love seeing it when people are seeing the power of that, seeing the good that could be done with that, and it's one of those things where it's just it'll benefit your business, it'll make you feel good, it'll help other people feel good, and exactly what you mentioned, it'll help you create a legacy that is actually worth having. Like
right.
You don't see hearses with U-Hauls hooked up to them. You don't get to do anything with all the wealth and money you can create. So do some.
I'll
good.
die with the same toys, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's awesome, man. That's powerful. So events, is that the main strategy that you use to impact and work with your S.O.I, or are you doing is it kind of that combined with the phone calls, or how does that work?
So I'm not a big believer. I know Mike Ferry and stuff like that are big believers in just calling and saying, this is a business call to your S.O.I, and that's just super cheesy to me. I'm sure it works for some people, but we really push on the relationship part. So for us to be able to call them every quarter, that's kind of what we expect, and just to invite them to something and see how their family's doing. I mean, that's a much easier call. I mean, I don't know why, but agents have a harder time calling their sphere than they do internet leads.
I completely get it. I mean, shoot, I think the reality is, whether it's business or real estate actually gets a really similar rap to like the MLM world. And I think all of us have that experience of making a phone call that you just don't feel good about, or or being on the receiving end of it. And what's nice is that, when you set it up, you can have some of these conversations in a way where you're happy to make the phone call, they're happy to receive the phone call, and it really, all you got to do is you got to keep that relationship alive, right? And you've got to, and then otherwise you just got to make sure they remember, I do real estate, and as long as they remember that when it comes time for them to do the transaction, it's so that's super powerful. That makes tons of sense. So you're doing that every quarter. You're doing these events. You've got some really cool different strategies for doing these events. And anybody listening, like, this doesn't have to be like, Kris has a big team. He's doing a lot of business. This doesn't have to be something that you're doing like super big over the top, right? Like, if you've got a smaller sphere, like, have like a pizza party. Maybe you aren't able to rent out the whole theater, but like, you get together a time, you buy tickets, and you go as a group, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a big thing if you're not there yet. So there's lots of ways that you can leverage these ideas, no matter where you are in your business. So powerful stuff. Okay, cool. So moving on to the next one. Unless if you've got more, I'll take it. If you've got more unique strategies that you want to throw our way.
No, I think that's what I had covered in my notes for that.
Cool. Sounds good. Sounds good. So what are some of your favorite tools, technology, software? So like, and one of the things I always want to throw out, like I consider this thing one of the tools that I use, right? It's literally, it's just a timer, and
Yeah.
I can see it, and it beeps at me when it's done. Some people, yeah, see, there you go, it's beeping. Some people leverage journal, anything and everything that you can throw in that you think is part of your tool set that makes you successful. What are some of those tools for you?
Well, definitely the journal. I think that's a big thing. I can't emphasize that enough. I mean, we did an exercise last team meeting where we actually would write a letter to ourselves in the future one year, and then we did one for 3 years out, and it can be emotional for some people to really kind of give yourself advice in the future and kind of see the person you want to be. Then it's pretty cool. So yeah, the journal is a big thing. I use Follow Up Boss for my CRM system. It's fantastic CRM. It's super simple. I've tried a lot of them, and that's by far the one that we've enjoyed the most.
Right.
DocuSign, that's kind of, I know a lot of agents are aware of that, but that's a huge time saver for us.
Right.
We use centralized showing for our showing services, which is well worth the money on that as well. I use a tool called canva.com, which is really cool.
That's a great one, yeah.
canva.com, and you can create some compelling Facebook ads or stuff like that. Super simple, makes it really easy.
And on that note, on Canva, just so that you know, it's free, right? Like it's basically, it's like having a professional graphic designer, on your team, and it's a free tool. You can pay for like some of their extra graphics and some of their specific designs, but it's free to use. And even when you pay, it's like you pay like $1 for the image or something when you download it. So it's practically nothing. But anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then Slide Broadcast is a big one, slidebroadcast.com. So when we do Just Listed, Just Sold, we will download a list from Kohl's directory around, a mile radius from the home, and then we will send a blast out. And it's extremely effective to get people to show up at the open house.
Nice. So you're using a circle prospecting specifically for open houses?
Yep.
Awesome.
But then, we go door knock around the open house before the day before, but the Slide Broadcast allows us to send, 500 to 1,000 voicemails immediately. Right. So it just basically dumps a pre-recorded voicemail in their inbox. And then I can't tell you how many people show up to the open house because of that one tool. That's
fantastic. Have you tried it with anything else, by the way? That's a piece of technology that I'm working on strategies with some people, and I'm really excited about the potential of ringless voicemails. But yeah,
we've done it for S.O.I events. I actually I found this really cool voice changer, Darth Vader, and we did the whole the Star Wars intro was playing. This is on the last Star Wars movie we did, and we invited them to the movie during that, and we had so many compliments on it at the movie. It was super fun.
Nice.
So we just blasted that to our S.O.I's voicemail.
That's fantastic. And what's nice about it too, like I'd love to dive into that part a little bit. And by the way, I keep forgetting to mention this, but if anybody has any questions or comments for Kris, especially about anything that we've covered, anything at all, feel free, drop it in the comments. At the end of this, if Kris has time, I don't know if Kris is going to have time or not, but if he has time, we'll also have the opportunity for people to come on live and ask questions and whatnot too, if you want to do that. But either way, you can drop a comment below to ask a question, or you can come on live as well later. We won't be coming on live yet, but anyway, and I'll explain how you come on live when it. Anyway, on the ringless voicemail strategy, using Slide Broadcast as the tool that you're using. Have you, and maybe you have, I don't know if you have yet or not, but have you experimented at all with not just getting people to show up, but ringless voicemails designed to get people to pick up the phone? So like a message that is just designed to get potentially interested people to call you back?
Not really. It's mainly just for announcements. We've had much better luck with that part of it.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's pretty inexpensive, but if you're doing I think it's a couple cents per voicemail, something like that. So it's not bad. But no, we've mainly just done it for announcements.
Gotcha. And Can you walk us through what does an announcement sound like for say an open house? What's the kind of script or messaging that you're using on that?
So typically it's hello neighbors. This is we're selling a house in your neighborhood over on Hollywood Avenue. Want to let you know about this home. It's 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. A lot of people know people that they want to live next to, and we'd love you to give you the opportunity to come and take a look at it at the open house tomorrow. Stop by between 12 and 2 o'clock. We look forward to seeing you there. And kind of leave it pretty generic. And then we actually don't even leave our phone number on there, but a lot of people call back just from the caller ID. And you get some irritated people as well. Like, how did you get my number? But for the most part, it's well worth it.
Yeah, well, and absolutely. I mean, the reality is with a ringless voicemail, like they have a notification, and that's about it, right? They have a notification of that voicemail showing up, but they aren't getting called. They're not getting interrupted in the middle of their dinner, or the middle of whatever they're doing. It's actually, in terms of interruption marketing, it is one of the more passive forms that you could do. So it's always surprising to me when people do get upset about it. Well, not super surprising. People get upset about everything, but it's surprising compared to other things, I guess. But anyway, okay, cool. So yeah, that's exciting to hear that you're using that and seeing that you're getting some good results. So on let's say, like, if you had to put a number on it, what would you say the show up rate is for the number of voicemails dropped?
I think we dropped 600 last week, and we had about 35 people from there show up from that, which is a lot.
Specifically from the voicemail?
From the voicemail, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's hard to say exactly, but that's what a lot of people told us where they heard it. Because we had signs up and down the street. It's hard to really say for sure. But a lot of people said they heard us from the voicemail.
Well, the reality is it's probably both, right? Like, you definitely have signs. Signs are going to bring people in. But if they see the signs and they got the voicemail, now they're that much more likely to remember, oh, yeah, that sounded interesting. I want to go hit that up. So, yeah, combining those things together is super powerful, super powerful. Awesome. Okay, let's see. So going back real quick on the journal, what kind of – so you mentioned that you guys journal for like 15 minutes in the mornings, right? Is that the main time where you're using the journal, or how else are you using it, or what does that look like?
That's really the only time, and it's usually only about 5 to 10 minutes for journaling, and then the rest is training and affirmations. But yeah, so that's the only time that we do it during the day. I mean, some of us do it during the weekends, but typically just in the morning meeting. Cool.
And then remind me again, what, like, say you're about to sit down and go through journaling. What are some of the things that you're writing down, that you're diving into and going through?
Sometimes it's more of a data dump from my head. I want to kind of just write down what I'm going to accomplish today or this week. But most of the time it's gratitudes. We'll have a small homework assignment where people can kind of think, and they can say, I am. Everything starts with I am, and they can say, grateful for this, or I am a rock star. It's just writing down stuff to kind of get you pumped up for the day. Awesome.
Yeah, that makes tons of sense. It's not only us for some of this stuff, but specifically in that frame of mind can do to help. And am I coming through okay? I see on my end I'm kind of jumping around. Is the audio coming through okay?
Yeah, every now and then it cuts out, but you're good. Okay,
fair enough. Awesome. Okay, and then so you mentioned follow-up, boss. I don't think we need to dive into that too much. What's nice to know, I like to talk to people about this. For the most part, if you have a CRM that you're using, a really specific problem that you're trying to solve, chances are the CRM that you're using is going to be okay for your needs.
For sure.
Right. So like this is one of the big places where I see people making a big mistake with CRMs is they spend a whole lot of time searching for the perfect CRM. Yeah. No CRM is perfect. Every one of them has their problems. I've played with, I think at this point, easily up to somewhere around like 50, whether real estate or not. And so do note that. The time where I think it makes sense to start looking at potentially different CRM is if you have a very specific problem that your business is facing and something else will solve that problem for you.
That's a good point, Zach. Yep.
Yeah. And DocuSign, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, I'm sure most of you are, but just in case, DocuSign is software that lets you remotely get signatures for things. So you can send out a notification, send out an email, send out a message, and get signatures back. So you can do that remotely. I think they also have things that you can do it like on an iPad. So if you happen to be there, you can get a digital signature and not need to actually get ink on paper, but still be able to get that part of your process done.
Right.
And you mentioned one that I actually haven't heard of, the centralized showing. What is that one? What's that one about?
So that's just a company that will field all of my calls when agents want to schedule showings for my listings. So rather than me trying to schedule with my sellers, they call a number and it coordinates with my seller directly. My sellers love it because they can text, reply, and approve the showings, and then it sends a survey out at the end of the showing as well. Yeah.
That's super cool. Okay, so that solves the problem of that whole showing process and just making that process a little bit more seamless for the seller, making that process a little bit more seamless for getting the feedback, all of that, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, cool. Better showing process. I'm just writing this down. Awesome. Okay. And I think that covers all the tools. So real quick, again, if you guys were just hopping in and you weren't here for the beginning of the show, in this show, one of the things that we cover is we talk a lot about different ways that you can improve your business, that you can generate more leads. And that's the kind of things that we're going to be bringing, that's kind of stuff that we talk about. One of the big problems that I've seen real estate agents struggle with is what do you do with those leads after you've generated them, right? And that's why we put together a free course for you to go through. It's called Ultimate Lead Machine. You can get Ultimate Lead Machine. All you got to do is drop a comment in the Facebook Live. You can do that whether it's live right now or you do it later. And all you got to do is type in lead, that up on the screen right now. So if you comment lead tips, my team will reach out to you. We'll send you a message telling you how you can get access to that completely free training. That again, it helps you know what to do with after you've generated a lead, so that you can make sure that you're processing those well and turning them into as much business as possible. So that's lead tips. Drop that in the comments below, and you can get access to that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off for now. But at any time, you guys could feel free to drop that in there. So moving on. So some of these questions are actually probably not going to take too much time. They're going to be a little bit quicker, more rapid fire questions. We can dive into them as much as you want to, but yeah. So we've talked some about where you started, what obstacles you had along the way, some of what's working for you now, some of the tools that you enjoy using. Who are some of the people that have most influenced you? Who are some of your heroes or your inspiration? The people that make a difference in your business every day?
I would have to say there's a few people. My coach is a big one.
Right.
That's a big deal. I think everyone should have someone that they kind of get directed by. And then, I follow other top producers around the country, especially in my market, kind of find out what they're doing. I have a great relationship with a lot of them, and, they're good mentors in a lot of ways like that. And then a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. A couple of them that I'll read out to you is The One Thing is a really great podcast. If you guys haven't done that, I love Darren Daily. That's actually my favorite one. Right. They're usually 2 to 4 minute. Every morning at 6 a.m. you get a text message and you can watch something. The Ziglar show is really cool. And then, that's what I had on those podcasts. Those are the ones that I enjoy the most. Sweet.
Yeah. And that's part of what's nice. If as anybody listening to this, anybody watching this, if as an agent you are currently not able to get in front of the people that you really, that you'd love to have that personal relationship with, podcasts and books and that kind of stuff are a great way to be able to surround yourself with the right kind of thinking that can help to get you where you want to go. And so having some of these people in mind that you can follow, that you can look to, super powerful business to the next level. Now you didn't mention your coach's name. Is that something that you'd like to mention? As a side note, so I'll let you get to that in just a second too. As a side note, for you, do you think with coaches there's some really specific things that people should be looking for, or is it the kind of thing where most anybody might be able to help them if they're in that world? So
no, I think that's a good question. I think there's a lot of coaches that are purely accountability based. Right. They're going to hold you to the fire if you're not hitting your numbers. And then there's other coaches that are more business minded, someone that's going to help, they have experience and success in having a business. And that's actually kind of what I think everyone has different needs. I don't have a problem holding, doing the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing, but I do like to have the insight from someone that's been there. So for me, my coach is Carla Thompson. She's with Agent Plus Coaching. Cool. She's awesome. She was one of the, she ran the #1 brokerage in Keller Williams nationwide about 5 years ago, and she is very business centric, and she masters with working with people and hiring and all that good stuff and systems. So that's kind of the direction I went with that. But a lot of people just need the kick in the butt every day just to get on the phone. Absolutely.
And that's when I actually had a conversation with somebody about this the other day. I think it's also the kind of thing where it can change over time, right? Like to get started, maybe all you need is the accountability. But as you get your business to a point, maybe it starts moving from something that's just getting what you already know you need to get done to needing a little bit of that guidance and that help to get you to that next level. And one of the best places to find that is going to be somebody who's already been there, right? Somebody who has an idea of what that looks like. So yeah, absolutely. Makes tons of sense.
So if anyone needs Carla's information, I'm happy to share that. If you guys need that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, if anybody's interested, feel free, you could drop a comment down below, and I'm sure Kris will be able to see that. If he misses it for whatever reason, I will point it out to him as well. So if you drop a comment below this and you're looking for that information, I will get that out to you as well, or I'll help connect him, to you. Cool. All right. So on that same note, so we just talked about the kind of the who. What are some of the books specifically? What are some of the books that have most influenced you? And this can be whether you've read them recently or a long time ago. What would you recommend for real estate agents looking to grow their business? What should they be reading?
So my favorite books have been Extreme Ownership. That's been an awesome book. Cool. The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. That's fantastic. Miracle Morning. That's a really, really good book with a great story behind it.
Right.
The Compound Effect, Darren Hardy.
Cool.
4-Hour Work Week. I know a lot of us have read that.
Yep.
The Conversion Code, fantastic, with Chris Smith.
Yeah, that would
highly recommend that. Yeah. And then The One Thing, obviously everyone loves that one.
That's a good book. Yeah, that's actually the One Thing is a book that more and more I've found people recommending that have nothing to do with real estate, nothing to do with that world. And it was fun. My history, I was the marketing director for a Keller Williams team here in Las Vegas. So we got exposed to some of that content before it was actually like a book and whatnot. I was like, oh, they're taking this stuff and taking it a whole lot further. That's cool. It's cool to see that. Cool. So out of those books, so Extreme Ownership, what was that one? What's that one about? Why do you recommend that one?
So it's about not doing everything half-assed. It's doing something that you're really the one thing that you need to focus on, and doing it 10 times as hard. I mean, that's a quick summary to tell you about, but it's a lot of people kind of do everything mediocre. This is, find the one thing that you're really good at or you want to accomplish and really put all your effort into that and spend hours a day on that one thing.
Awesome. And then, and we talked about Miracle Morning. Miracle Morning is about getting excited about your morning, about having a nice plan for your morning and kind of what that can do for the rest of your life, right? And kind of how that impacts your day. I always like to have a nice, simple way for people to kind of take everything that we've talked about, all the value that you had. And if you had to boil it down to your top 3 things, the top 3 things that you would want somebody listening to this to take away from your experience and your background, what are those top 3 things? What are the top 3 tips that you'd have?
I would say schedule your mornings, or at least a part of your day where it's consistent every day.
Schedule your mornings.
2, I would say don't get caught up in all the shiny objects. Do what works.
Right.
And then 3rd one I would say is prioritizing your SOI and really working on that. Even if you have a small SOI, just getting out there and working with them, go to coffee, whatever it takes to build those relationships.
Awesome. So again, that was fix your morning, focus on your morning, right? I remember prioritize your SOI, and I wasn't taking notes. I think I missed the middle one. What was the middle one again?
Don't get caught up in the shiny objects out there.
Shiny objects. There we go. Okay. So shiny objects.
Do what works.
Do what works. Yeah. Cause I mean, oh man, there's constantly new marketing tactics. There's constantly things that can potentially, get you where you want to go. One of the things that's really interesting on the shiny object topic is, if if you focus only on bringing the things into your business that are specifically trying to solve a problem that you have, that you know you have, and you're trying to fix, that's one of the best ways to leverage tools and things.
Right.
It's very likely that the thing that looks like a silver bullet, it really is. It's just a shiny object, right? It's not. Right. It's not going to fix all your problems. You have to know what your problems are, and then find the tools that fix them, rather than finding a tool and trying to figure out what to do with it. Right. So yeah, that shiny object one is so powerful. Okay, and it's so one last time, if you guys haven't already, if you want to know how I recommend that you follow up with leads, how I recommend that you take that process once you generate the lead and then work with them from then on, you could drop a comment below, and that's lead tips. If you drop the comment lead tips below, my team will reach out to you and we'll tell you how you can get access to the free training that we've put together for you. So wrapping it up, Kris, one last thing. Where can people connect with you? Where would you like to send people? What would you like people to do after listening to this? One thing in particular, in case you didn't, you probably already figured this, but how can people reach out to you, say if they have clients who are looking to do business in the Salt Lake area, that kind of thing.
So you can visit us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Utah Kris, and that's UTAHKRIS with a K.
And if I'm going to throw that up on the screen right now, okay. Facebook.com/Utah Kris. Here we go. Is that correct?
That's right. Or you can visit us on our website at krisbowenteam.com.
Okay, let me see if I could do that. krisbowenteam.com. I think this is correct. Here we go.
That's it.
Boom. So yeah, if you guys have any referrals, maybe have any questions about the kind of stuff that we talked about here, all that kind of stuff, definitely reach out to Kris. Kris is a great guy. I hope you've seen that through this this interview, this process, getting to know a little bit more about him. So that's how you can reach out to him. Facebook.com/Utah Kris, and that's Kris spelled Kris, or KrisBowenTeam.com. I think that about covers it for the show. Any parting words specifically for the show, Kris?
No, I appreciate the opportunity, Zach. Thanks for having me on. It was great.
Hey, you got it. And just a couple real quick questions. Do you have a couple of minutes to be able to stay on, or do you got to get going? Okay, cool.
Let's do it.
So if you guys happen to want to get in and ask any questions to Kris, here, let me see. I think I can drop a comment in right here. There you go. I just dropped a comment in on the page. It should come through in just a second, hopefully. If it doesn't, yeah, there we go. It came through. I just dropped a link into the Facebook Live comments area. You can click into that and actually come on and join us live. Otherwise, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. And I did actually see one question. We'll get to that in just a second. The other question that I'd actually have for you, Kris, real quick, is who do you know who would be a good fit to come on this show? Who would be a good person that I should be reaching out to get the same kind of great information and quality that you just brought?
Well, maybe I'll have my coach come on. Maybe she'd like to do that.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Sounds good. I look forward to it. It sounds like if she's helped to get you where you are and has the kind of success that she does, I think that'd be a great fit. So
and then my partner, actually, Rob, he is fantastic with mindset stuff. He would be awesome to be on here.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll reach out to you after the show and we can connect and see about setting that up. So awesome. Okay, and there was actually one question that did come in. I'm going to go ahead and throw that up on the screen. So from Tito's, strategy mainly for sellers. So what I think the question here is, if you had to emphasize specifically sellers, what kind of strategies are you using to attract sellers?
We most of our listings come from our buyer leads online or S.O.I. So we don't really have a specific seller campaign right now. I mean, we've called expired listings in the past, but we have very few expireds in this market.
Right.
And for subway owners, we really haven't worked those too much. Right. But typically, about 30% of our internet leads are sellers as well. So
Awesome.
a lot of times we just get our listings through our buyer leads. So we don't have anything specific to those. We were doing home value leads on Facebook for a while,
Right.
but now it's oversaturated. A lot of agents are doing it now, and we're finding those way less effective than they used to be.
Right. Right.
And then posting success stories on Facebook's been big for us. Sold 20,000 over list, promote those to people, and try to get phone numbers that way.
Awesome. Yeah. So some great strategies there, and I definitely agree. Those the getting a lot of those buyer leads and being able to sort the listings out of there can be super effective. On the home value leads, one of the things that I found is it's really the mindset on that has to be so specific. I almost look at home value leads as kind of like building up your sphere a little bit. Not exactly, but that kind of idea where it's more about you're getting people's information and you're building that relationship, so that when they are ready to sell, that you have it. Because it can be hard to find the people who are ready to sell right now. It's I just listened to a discussion about this where they were talking about how buyers, there's some really clear indicators of that they're looking to buy. For one, if they're actually searching for homes, but two, like people have a baby or kids going into college and moving out, and now you have an empty nest, and maybe somebody passes away or maybe a divorce happens. There's all these things that are a very strong indicator of somebody being about ready to potentially need to buy, but it's a little bit harder for selling. So yeah, right. But those buyers are always a great way to find them. So again, anybody who's watching live right now, if you want to join into the discussion, you can actually, there's a link in the comments, this BeLive.tv/broadcast/ a whole bunch of stuff. You'll see it in the comments. But if you want to hop in live and join the discussion, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, you can feel free to drop a comment as well, and we will be glad to take some time and talk about it. But otherwise, if we're not seeing them come in, then we'll probably go ahead and call it. I think we've covered most of the stuff that we want to cover. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give it. I don't know. I think maybe I'm gonna count down from like 10. And if we don't see anybody else, we'll probably just call it there. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we will call it a wrap there. Thank you so much for coming on, Kris. It was fantastic having you. Great discussion, great information coming through here. So thanks so much. And yeah, maybe I can have you on again sometime. We could talk about some more, maybe cover some of this stuff from a different angle. Happy
to.
And thanks everybody for anybody who watched live. If you find this this content valuable, feel free sign up for our notification list. You can do that by dropping a comment below that says notify. You can also like our page, and if you found this content valuable and you know people who you think might find this valuable, feel free to share it. Let other people know and see it as well. And yeah, thanks again, and we'll see you next time. So
thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks again.
See you guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Growth Hacker Show. Remember, done is better than perfect. To turn the marketing ideas and tactics you just learned into real growth for your real estate business, visit us at realestategrowthhackers.com. If you like this episode, consider sharing it with another real estate professional who could benefit from the information, or maybe you'd like to subscribe to the show to never miss an episode. You can leave a rating or review on iTunes with your biggest takeaway, helping this show to reach and help more people just like you. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.